Hello friends, I am Vijay, Assistant Professor, Department of Microbiology, Secretariat College Autonomous, Tirupati District, Tamil Nadu. In this video lecture, I am going to guide you how to read science books with minimum expense of your valuable time. If you classify books in a library, generally as science books, we have reference books and textbooks. Reference books you get some specific facts or information or an overview of your subject. Under reference books category, we will get two different kinds of books. One is the compiled book, which is just a reference source, usually compiled with many chapters written by many authors. And finally, compiled by a set of editors. Here, each chapter is authored by many individuals. All the chapters are compiled by a set of editors. In editor authored book, you find single or group of authors who author all the chapters simultaneously and compile it with the help of few associate editors and reviewers. So examples include Langer's Principles of Biochemistry book, some dictionaries, atlases, thesaurus, encyclopedia. The section of textbooks. These books are generally consulted for the recreational reading by educational institutions that follows unique syllabus. These books are written based on particular syllabus which are required for the graduate and postgraduate students who refer these books as a prerequisite to get an understanding about the subject, about the syllabus. Then they go for further reading with the reference books. So examples of textbooks include textbooks of microbiology. Very many books are there. One book is RC, authored by RC Vijay. Textbook of Biochemistry for medical students by Prof. et al. After selecting an appropriate book, we go through two different types of reading methods. First, we have to get the appropriate book. So, select a book based on the generalized title of the subject. It can either be a textbook or it can be a reference book. So, collect it from the library, or if you have a personal copy, just take it with you. And if you look at the author names, they are followed by the affiliation. I mean, the address where the authors actually work, and the reputations of the publisher, the name of the press, how reputed the press is, and what is the edition of the book, whether it is a revised edition or a new edition. Sometimes very many new editions for a given book. It is decided by the recent year of publication. And you should have a glance over the about the author section or about the editor section, either placed in front pages or on the wrappers, back side of the wrappers. We will go through the preface provided by the eminent writers. Preface describes about the significance of the book. Sometimes it is a kind of foreword by the eminent writers or preface by the author itself. They compare how the recent edition is better than the previous one, which was also authored by them. And in some cases, students of the authors still write or revise the editions when compared to the previous ones. So you always get the updated one. At this stage, you have a choice whether to choose this book or not, because you are going to spend your valuable time, which cannot be reverted back in your life. Isn't it? So you have to be concerned about it. And this particular formula of selecting the book applies to both selection of e-books as well as hard copy books, and both reference books as well as for the textbooks. After selection of a textbook, You have to directly go to the content page and select your chapter that matches with your unit given in the syllabus. Look into each chapters by reading the objectives given at the front and then a summary at the last. So with this you can understand how the chapter is actually written and whether the chapter is eligible or not. So you are selecting the chapter by reading objectives and summary and then you go to the eligible subtitles because a particular topic can be discussed in multiple subtitles, multiple aspects. So you have to select the eligible subtitles that actually matches with the content of the syllabus, the content what I actually need. Suppose if the subtitle or the chapter is not eligible, then you have to go for next book. And if it is matching, then you have to go through the activity part first. After reading summary, you have to go to the activity part. If you really have to work out something after reading a passage in the chapter, you have to go to the activity and work out. And at the last, you have the practice questions. After reading, you can still recall the content, you're practicing the questions, and you can look for solving some problems, bring up the solutions and the discussions. And if you want further reading, you have to look into the bibliography section where you can select the back reference books. Now to read a reference book. Suppose if you get a reference book at first, then you go to the content page, see the chapters. Chapter titles may be sometimes broad or sometimes question tag because it invites the reader. Because the reader is always with some topic or some questions to find solutions through reading. So it is always question tag generally. If you cannot select the appropriate chapter in the content page, then you have to look into the text pages where keywords are written with page numbers alphabetically arranged and so. It is required for you to easily locate the content within the book. There are some keywords or even many keywords with many different page numbers. It means there are some matters discussed related to the keyword in multiple number of pages. Some pages may fall in one chapter and some other pages may fall in some other chapter. It is relating the keyword. Keyword means it is your topic or it is the question of choice. So it is discussed everywhere. So you have to go to each and every place where it is discussed sometimes, and you have to locate based on their usage, based on the meaning or aspect of its discussion related to the content of your syllabus. So whether all the places have to be chosen for reading related to the keyword or not. So you have to select. Sometimes you may not need all those pages, only specific pages may describe about certain content that match with your search. So after location of the desired topic, just read through the quick summary of the chapter. Or just a story, sometimes points to recall may be present at the end along with conclusions. So at this place, you are actually saving your time because reference books will have long stories, long story chapters. So you have to save your time before going for a detailed reading. So at this place you are selecting whether this book is eligible for the time or not. Then now you have to go through, after reading, you have to go through the bibliography for further back references. Back references are nothing but some of the articles or books referred by the authors of the book what you actually have in your hand. Sometimes it is necessary for you to read these supporting documents for a better understanding. And there are some tips for reading. Just directly go through illustrative pictorials may be there. If you have reference book or textbook where chapters are very big, and you should not restrict yourself in taking big size books, or you should not be afraid of referring longitudinal books, you follow these tips. Directly just take select chapters and go through. If there are some illustrative tutorials with examples or some flowcharts or data tables. Data tables give you some better comparison of two entities. If you read all these, if you go into these items, definitely you will get a outline, the picture of the chapter, whether it is suitable or not for reading. And if you have some e-copies, both text and reference books, then use the control F option. It will give you a navigation bar, search bar. Then you can type or paste your topic or question of choice and easily give. There are two options in that, previous and next option will be there down. If you press next, then it will take you to places where all the keywords are actually there and the contents are actually relating or encircling the keyword. And you will go to the desired topic where you have to stop and start reading. Some books may have some animated video links at the end. With these programs for your effective learning process, you can still click on that. Some books usually have quiz questions at the end. After reading, you have to exercise these ones to recall your learning. So, few example slides are there. So this is my favorite book, Book Biology of Microorganisms. 13th edition I have taken. So here author names are there. Author affiliation is from Southern Illinois University as well as University of Washington Seattle. And it is the 13th edition got published in printed in 2012. There are many other versions also. Publisher is the Pearson. It's imprint of Pearson. Benjamin Fewing Publications, it's an imprint of Pearson. It's an international press. So, the model reference book I'm showing, there are description about the authors, there are a description about each and every chapter, what are all the new coverages when compared to the previous edition that are actually included in the new edition. These are all described by the authors itself. So you still can go through it if you really want to compare the previous editions. And here is the content page. Just look at the chapter 1. It's an introduction to microbiology. So it all describes about the history of the science as well as the scope of the science. So here in this chapter, the pages are actually too long. You have to read at least 20 pages to cover this first chapter. So just getting to the gist of the history, it is at one page, it is printed. Just you have to go through it and then get to know about how the biological sciences evolved. And then you can think of choosing this book or not, whether the contents are presented, and you have some colored pages also. You just can go to tables and the important key points to remember. So there are in between the chapters and each sub-chapters are there, and they have mini quiz to exercise. And if you cannot locate as it is, you can go to the index page at the last. Here each and every topic has multiple page numbers, and it means it is mentioned, it has multiple mentions, it is mentioned in multiple places in this book, and you can still go to it to each and every page where these are actually mentioned. And at some pages the content what you are searching for is not related to that, but still the keyword is used. And there are certain pages where the content of your search matches with your expectation and the keyword is appropriately placed in specific pages. So those pages you can go for your detailed reading. See, the example here is microbial cells. So if I copy this subchapter title and paste it, in index it is shown in very many pages. So I can go either through index way, or sometimes it is mentioned. So there is a common keyword. Okay, it's really difficult to find its exact location. It is distributed across the book. So it is mentioned in 1155 places. Okay, it is the book size is 1009. Book contains 1155 pages. So this is a very famous keyword. I cannot directly locate it just by typing. It shows its first position in the content page list, and then it moves across. So if I give next, I will end up in a particular subtitle in a given in a specific chapter. This chapter discusses about the microbial cells properties as well as its function. So I can directly go for reading here. Though it is mentioned in multiple places previously, I can ignore it, and this is the appropriate place where I have to start reading. So this thing you have to follow, and suppose specific data are written in scripts and it is also mentioned in tables, then you have to directly look into tables. Just skim pages and then go and look at the tables, get data about it, and then we have summary here. It is given as big ideas. So chapter 1.1 to 1.10 sub chapters are described with a small summary. Just go through it first, and then you can have a detailed reading in the previous pages. And we have some review of certain key terms. You should know it before reading. So without referring dictionaries, certain terms are actually required for you. Terminologies, you have to get used to it. So after reading that, you just go to the summary and then look at the tables or descriptions. Then you can go for reading line by line. And at last, you have the review questions to solve and recall. And at the end of the chapter, there can be links for quiz, some practice test or animation tutorials like there to improve your understanding. This is about textbooks. Textbooks do have objectives, summaries, and it does have certain tables and certain paragraphs about the future prospects or the scientific gaps which has to be filled by future research, or sometimes you need to go for reading some of the reference books to expand your idea or knowledge related to the chapter. So you have to go through first tables for chapter, read objectives, go to summaries, or what is the gap behind the chapter. Then if you want to go for reference book, you go reference book there. Otherwise, you look into the table, and then finally you can try practice in review questions. So instead of reading top to bottom of the book, if you follow these formulas, it will really guide you to get to know about the book in a short period. So, last, I wish the beginners a grand success and enjoy reading. Thank you.